All right, welcome to Methough episode 6, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Clone Wars, the 2D one, because unfortunately you have to say that because it can get quite confusing. So let me go ahead and break that down just for all you out there who may not know. Star Wars Clone Wars is the 2D one made by your boy Genndy Tartakovsky, the guy who made Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab, and I think he got his new show out called Primal, but you should already know him based off Samurai Jack. That's all I really have to say. You know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. He's the guy who was over this. They put him in charge of making this one. So Star Wars Clone Wars is the 2D one that came out back in 2005, which is still one of my favorites because it's so fucking good. I mean, and we're about to there's no negatives whatsoever. So this is just gonna be me ranting and raving about how fucking good this series and how much it holds up too. That's the crazy thing. It's at this point you can literally say, because we're almost in 2020, so fuck it. You talking about it's been 15 years since this came out and this shit still fucking holds up. Yeah, because it came out 2005. I don't know why I thought it came out 2003. I think it came out 2005 from what I remember. Yeah, I think it was 2005. Anyway, you get my point. It's been about 15 years, if not a little bit more than that, if it did come out 2003. It doesn't fucking matter. This shit still holds up like it ain't nothing. But where I was getting at with that is, so the 2D Clone Wars is called Star Wars Clone Wars. The 3D Clone Wars that came out with my baby Ahsoka in it, that's Star Wars The Clone Wars. That's the 3D one that came out way later. So that's the difference. So anytime you hear me say Clone Wars, I'm talking about the 2D one. If I say The Clone Wars, I'm talking about the 3D one. You got me? Good. So let's go. Dude, this show is so fucking good. I remember watching this when I was a kid. And at the time, I wasn't a huge Star Wars fan. I had only really watched episode 1 up until that point. And I might have seen episode 2 on TV, but I had never really watched episode 2 like that. But I remember watching this one because the reason why I love this one is that it perfectly transitions into, that's the word I was looking for, transitions into episode 3. Because remember how episode 3 opens up is that you have Obi-Wan and Anakin in space. They're flying in their little spaceships to go get Palpatine. That's literally how the show ends. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. That's literally how the show ends. Is that it ends with Anakin and Obi-Wan getting a message saying Chancellor Palpatine has been kidnapped. You know, we need you to come and rescue him or whatever. And then they hop in their ships and fly into space. And then that's when you're supposed to watch episode 3 with them being in space. But anyway, outside of that, this show is just so fucking good. There's so many moments in it. And you can tell that it was made by your boy Genndy, because one of my favorite things that I love about Genndy, especially when it came to Samurai Jack, is that he's the one who really taught me that silence is way more important than people think it is. That you can convey a lot of emotions, you can get a lot of things through a lot better with silence than you can with actual talking. Because there's so many moments, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, I'm about to say movements. There's so many moments in this series where there's nobody talking, but you get what essentially that person's feeling. You understand the gravity of the situation, the tone, just everything that whatever the scene is supposed to convey, somehow he's able to pull it off with no dialogue whatsoever. And it's just amazing how he does that. And how he establishes General Grievous. This show is what made me like General Grievous so fucking much. The way that he introduces Asajj Ventress, who comes in way later, because they bring her back in during the Clone Wars. You really don't see her after, you really don't see her, because she's not in episode 3 or anything like that. So you really don't see her until the Clone Wars. But how they bring her in, how they establish how powerful Mace Windu is. Because that was one of the biggest problems with the movies, is that you hear about how strong Mace Windu is. You read the books. You hear people talk about how Mace Windu is the strongest, that he could even, I think they even say he's stronger than Yoda, if not he's a little bit under Yoda. But you never really get to see how strong he is in the movie because he doesn't do shit. I don't know if that was due to Sam Jackson not wanting to show off his powers, or not Sam Jackson, sorry, if George Lucas not wanting to show off his powers, or Sam Jackson just not wanting to really be, you know, like he just didn't want to like go out there and actually do the movements and do shit to show how powerful he was, and like, you know, do all the choreography that came with the lightsaber fighting that like Ewan and Hayden had to do to, you know, because like if you watch episode 3, that whole sequence at the end between Anakin and Obi-Wan, they had to rehearse that. Like if you look at behind the scenes, like they rehearsed that whole fucking thing, just like the whole fight between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like they rehearsed that whole entire thing. So maybe it was just Sam Jackson. He was like, I ain't trying to fucking do all that bullshit for this movie. I don't know, but this cartoon solidifies how strong Mace Windu is. And it, man, there's so much I can talk about. There's so much I can talk about with this show. Is ridiculous, but I'm not trying to be here all fucking day and talk about this shit all day, even though I could. But it's just like, why did they make this no longer canon? I think that's the thing that really pisses me off, is that because this shit holds up so well that even 15 years later, which once again is not 2020 yet, but for me, fuck it, it's already 2020. We only got a couple more weeks. For me to basically be watching this about 15 years later, and it still holds up, and it holds up better than actually like episode 1, which is, you know, considered canon. I would take this over episode 2 any day. For Disney to no longer make this canon, it blows my fucking mind. It really does. It really fucking does. Because it's like, why would you take one of the most solid pieces of Star Wars media, better yet, not medium, sorry, one of the most solid Star Wars medias since the original trilogy, and you fucking throw it away? Now I know how people feel when they talk about like the legacy stuff that Disney got rid of, because I know there was like a lot of books and stuff like that and games that people loved that Star Wars that Disney got rid of when it came to them forming their own weird Star Wars canon. You know, I finally understand how you feel, because this shit is so good to me. It's like, why would you take away the one good thing that you guys could have had in this newer Star Wars canon that you're trying to form? It just blows me away. But anyway, let's actually get back to the show. So yeah, this show does so much in such a short amount of time. It's like, how the fuck do you pull this shit off? So let's start from the very beginning. So it starts off, from what I remember, like going through the motions of the Jedi with the clones, like going to different parts and taking down different, like, because Ben, it's been a minute since I've seen. I watched this like a couple weeks ago, but from what I remember, it starts off with them like showing the Jedi and showing how strong they are, and each one of them going to like different planets and, you know, liberating those planets or whatever the case may be, and just showing basically the battle between, you know, the Republic and the Separatists. I think that's what it is. Yes, the Separatists. Those Republic Separatists. Yeah. And it just based off that little bit, you already know what you're getting into, just based off that little bit. But then it starts to focus on Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it starts to establish a way better relationship than what they was trying to do in episode 2. But it also sets the ground for the relationship that they have in episode 3, and the dynamic that they have, how they play off one another, the friendly banter between them. You really didn't get that in episode 2. I mean, you did, but not as much, mainly because they were separated. So this cartoon makes up for that, and it really shows you, you know, how they're like brothers and how much they trust each other, and how, you know, the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin is, which once again, like I said, kind of bleeds into episode 3 until they get separated again. But it establishes that. But then that's when it goes a step further, and it shows General Grievous, because the whole point of this series was to segue between episode 2 and 3, so you can understand a lot of the things that happened in episode 3, like General Grievous cough and stuff like that. So then it goes into all of that. It goes into establishing General Grievous and how fucking deadly he is. God damn, this is the General Grievous that I know and love, dude. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, and I apologize, because It's so much going on in this, and once again, such a short amount of time, you can talk about anything and have our own separate video, like have your own separate video just for that one instance or one thing in this show. But this is the General Grievous that I love. Just the amount of fucking just crazy shit General Grievous was doing in this, you wouldn't even believe when you saw him in episode 3 that was the same Grievous, or even in the Clone Wars, you wouldn't even thought that was the same Grievous, because from what I understand, George Lucas didn't really know how he wanted to make Grievous. He didn't know if he wanted to make him like this badass Jedi killer, which is exactly what we got in that, and is what he should have fucking stayed as. Or he wanted to make him, as from what I saw in this video, and this is quoted from them, the mustache twirling villain that gets away at the end of the day and is like, I'll get you next time. That's exactly what they said, or they said some variation of that. But essentially, George Lucas didn't know which one he wanted to make him, and we already know which one we got, because this is no longer canon. But episode 3, of course, is canon, and the Clone Wars is canon, and that's exactly what he is. He's a little mustache twirling villain that keeps on getting away and runs away every time he starts to lose. But the Grievous that we got in here is what made me fall in love with this motherfucker, man. Once again, man, your boy Gindi is so good at directing action and shit like that. It's like, bro, have you not have your own movie yet? If you was actually to direct a movie, my nigga, you would be a fucking god. Because the sequence with General Grievous is one of my favorite. Let me tell you something. There's only certain things that I've ever watched that left an impact on me where I remember like it was yesterday. Toy Story being one, right? Both of them, Toy Story 1 and 2. Even 3. I still remember that shit like I watched it yesterday. You know, the Friday movies, right? Stuff like that. Godzilla 1998. You know that movie fucking sucks. It's something that I watched a gajillion times, so it's kind of like burned into my brain. But you get my point. There's just certain things that to where it's like I can remember like it was yesterday. I remember watching this for the first time when I was a kid. The very first sequence with General Grievous when he's taking on 4 Jedi Masters and a Padawan by himself. I remember when I first watched that, my mind was blown as a kid. I was like, dude, who the fuck is this dude? This dude is taking on 4 Jedi Masters. Well, really, he killed the Padawan off rip, so it was really just 4 Jedi Masters. Really, I think it was more than that. I think it was like 5 of them motherfuckers, I think. But anyway, 4 or 5. I was like, this dude is taking on 4 or 5 Jedi Masters by himself. And then, of course, when he did the arm split thing, done. Fucking done. And that's and where I'm getting at is that's the Grievous I remember. I remember that scene. But I could remember and reminisce on that whole entire scene without even watching the show. That's how much that shit blew my mind. And that's how much I remembered that scene. That I didn't even have to watch it. I could literally just play that whole entire scene back in my head, just based off memory. It's crazy how good this series is and how many moments it has like that, where you can just sit there and be like, damn, that fight with Grievous, or that fight between Anakin and Asajj Ventress. Like how you could just sit there and reminisce on that and remember the entire fucking thing without having to watch it. You know you've made something good when you can do that. When you can have somebody sit down and just reminisce or think about a scene from a show and remember it, the whole fucking thing without having to watch it. And can recall it at a moment's notice if somebody's talking about it. That was another thing I could do. If somebody was talking about, oh man, you remember that 2D Clone Wars? I'd be like, nigga, don't even get me started. And I just start going the fuck in. Grievous, the Asajj Ventress, and what about when I could just do that? Man, the fight with fucking Mace Windu. But hold on, I keep on getting ahead of myself. I gotta take some time to gloat about this General Grievous one. I told you that's gonna be this whole thing. This is gonna be most of this whole thing. That General Grievous fight, man, till this day still fucking holds, bro. That fucking fight still holds. It's so fucking good because Grievous was fucking them niggas up, man. You're talking about 4 Jedi Masters. Masters, not knights, masters. And he was making them look like they were a bunch of fucking Padawans. Come on. This nigga was doing shit that we've never even seen before in Star Wars. This motherfucker was on some Killer B shit. So if y'all remember, right, in Naruto, and I'm not saying that there hasn't been characters who've done this before, that haven't done this before. I'm just saying, like, the most recent character I can really remember that I know a lot of you gonna remember. You remember when Killer B used to do the shit where he had all the knives, and he used to have one, like, in between his leg, like, I don't know what you call that area behind your knee, but you know what I'm talking about, where your leg basically closed up at. And remember how you used to have, like, a knife clenched right there, and he used to have one leg up in the air, then one on the ground, and he used to fight like that? This nigga General Grievous was doing that, but with lightsabers, though. And to my knowledge, once again, I've never read all the books and all the stuff that come with Star Wars. I've just mainly stuck to the more visual stuff. So the movies and shows and stuff like that. Who was fighting like that? This motherfucker was literally fighting with 2 lightsabers in his hand and one clenched in his fucking foot and was still fucking them niggas up. This nigga was doing flips and cartwheels and shit. He grabbed one nigga. This nigga was fighting the dude. He fucking like did some type of cartwheel shit, grabbed a nigga with his foot and slammed his head into the fucking ground. Who was doing that shit? Who was doing that shit? Nobody. This nigga Grievous, bro. It's sad that he turned out the way that he did, because that fight scene will forever remain with me. And it sucks that I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always gonna be there. They can't take it away. It's not like Disney can literally wipe it away and make it no longer exist, like fucking Thanos snapped that shit and we all just be like, oh man, I could have swore I was watching some show, but I don't recall what it was. Disney can't do that. But it just sucks that they had such an awesome show with an awesome fight scene like that, and they're just like, nah, we're good. We're just gonna go ahead and brush that to the side. We're gonna act like that never existed in our canon. Like y'all doing any fucking better. I can't wait till I get to episode 8. Woo! I can't wait till I get to episode 8. But it was just so good, man. I'm going to move on, because if I keep on talking about it, we'll be here for like another 6 minutes about that General Grievous fight. If you've never seen this show, I highly suggest you go and watch it. Like, literally, I highly suggest you go and watch this show. You can find all the episodes on YouTube right now. That's how I watched it. They used to have a movie, or what they would say was the movie, but basically it was like just like the whole entire series condensed into one big ass video. But for some reason, those disappeared now, which I find to be quite funny. Now that Disney Plus has a streaming service, all of a sudden that is gone. But I'm not going to go there, because that shit was up there for years. And when I mean years, I mean years. And all of a sudden, now they're gone as soon as Disney got their streaming service. But there is somebody out there who still has all 25 episodes in a playlist on their channel on YouTube that you can go and watch it, because I even bookmarked the playlist to watch it. And it's all 25 episodes. And that's the crazy thing about it. It's only 25 episodes, and it does so much and leaves such an impact. Fucking crazy. Once again, how the fuck did he accomplish that in 25 episodes? And this is the crazy thing about it too. And then I promise you, I'm going to move on and talk about Mace Windu and all of that shit. But this is the even crazy part about it. The show is 25 episodes, and I swear to you, for like the first almost 20 episodes, if not 15, you're only approaching about 3 minutes a piece. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? And let me repeat that to you again. The first like 10 to 15 episodes of this series are only about 3 minutes a piece, maybe 4. It's not until you start getting into like the later episodes, so like episode 20, maybe even episode 18 and after, is where it starts to get into like almost 15-minute episodes. Like that's like really, I mean, it is a big difference compared to like 3. But you get my point. It's only like 15-minute episodes. It is just like, how the fuck do you accomplish something like that in such a short amount of time? 25 episodes. Most of them are barely passing fucking 5 minutes. Then towards the end, they're barely even reaching 15. And you do more for the Star Wars series than the first 2 fucking movies done. Well, I take that back. Episode 2 actually did do a lot of shit. I take that back. Well, at least the first movie. I don't get it. With half the budget, if not even a quarter. Not even a quarter, probably even less than a quarter of the budget. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. But you don't, outside of the General Grievous fight, you have the Mace Windu fight, which is still one of the most iconic fights of that series too, outside of General Grievous. Once again, you were actually, and I was talking about this in my episode 2 when in my episode 2, Attack of Clones, Methough, they actually show how powerful Mace Windu was. Mace Windu took on an entire droid army practically by himself. There were a few clones there, but pretty much after a while, those clones just fucking got demolished. And General Grievous, I mean not General Grievous, I'm so used to saying that now. Mace Windu was fucking them niggas up by himself. I promise you, if you haven't seen, goddamn, I'm gonna keep on saying this. If you have yet to see this show, go at least watch one of those 2 battles. Watch the Mace Windu one. Watch the General Grievous one. And I'm telling you, I'm like, damn, I need to go and watch this whole fucking show. Like, yeah, nigga, go and watch that shit. It's that fucking good. But the Mace Windu fight is done so fucking well. And it once again goes back to what I was saying earlier about how Gindi really taught me how silence is so important and how it can be as impactful as dialogue. The whole entire Mace Windu fight is quiet. In the sense of there's no dialogue. Like you might get a droid that say something here and there, but I'm talking about as Mace Windu talking or they're just being dialogue in general, there's little to none. He goes and fights his droid army pretty much by himself, and it's just nothing but him, his lightsaber, and the Force. And it is so fucking awesome, and it's so fucking beautiful. He's literally Force running. He's punching shit, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, why is he punching shit? Like, does it really fucking matter, dude? It looks cool. Shut the fuck up. But he's running, he's punching droids and shit. Like, he's like, and I'm talking about like he's speed punching them. He's like, like dude, if you, I can't say it enough. Just go and fucking watch it. He's like, and then like the thing that made it even more cool was like, how they had like the separatists, like the droid army or whatever you want. It's just the separatists. Fuck it. They had this thing where it would like shoot out this big ass, I don't want to call it a piston, but basically it's what it kind of was. It's like this big ass piston looking thing that it would shoot down and it create a big ass shockwave. And like how he was still fighting through that shit. And like how, what did he do? There was like one scene where he fucking used the Force to literally deconstruct a fucking droid. And then use the like bits of the droid to spread them out and then shoot it. I just hit the fucking microphone. I'm going crazy. He used the bits of the droid and like threw them out there to knock out a whole bunch of other droids and blow them up. Dude. Mace Windu was no joke, man. It's sad we never got to see that in the movies. Cause that shit, that's like literally the only little bit, and that's no longer even canon. That's ow. Fuck, I hit my hand again. It's sad that that's not even canon anymore because it's like and I'm gonna keep on saying that you had all these awesome moments that really showed how powerful Jedi can be and how powerful Jedis who didn't really have their moment to shine could be, and now that's no longer considered canon. And it just fucking sucks, man. It really does. The last thing I'm gonna say, because like I said, we'll be here all day and this video is approaching 23 minutes and I promise you I was not trying to make it that long, but I told you I was gonna gloat and rant and rave about this show. The last thing that I really loved about this show though, like I said, was how it transitions to episode 3 and how it showed how General Grievous got his cough. And once again, I'm gonna say it, even though I say it again, that's one of the reasons why I hate that they said that this is no longer canon, because now it makes no sense for Grievous to have a cough. Because because once again, this show was literally meant to bridge the gap before they came out with the Clone Wars. This show was meant to literally bridge the gap between episode 2 and 3. So that's why the first introduction of Grievous is shown in here. Him getting his fucking chest, force crushed was shown in here. So that's why when you go into episode 3, he's coughing. Because you see Mace Windu literally crush his fucking heart before he escapes with Palpatine, and that's why he's coughing and shit. But they don't show that. It's no longer canon, so it doesn't matter. So now when you go in episode 3, because it's no longer canon, which once again you can still watch it as canon because I fucking did, but I'm just saying, it's just gonna be like, for most people, like let's just say later on down the line, essentially is where I'm looking at it from that perspective. Essentially, that I should have just said that I'm looking at it from the perspective of like some kid later on down the line who's getting introduced to Star Wars. They're not gonna know about this cartoon. They're not gonna know that this cartoon bridges between episodes 2 and 3 and is literally the transition between 2 and 3, and they're supposed to watch that. So they're going to be going into episode 3 like, why the fuck is this nigga coughing? I don't get it. Why is he coughing? You know, and then if they go into the Clone Wars series, they're going to be like, why is this dude coughing? They never established why he's coughing in this show. So why is he coughing? Because they're not going to know about that because, you know, I done said it before. I'm not going to say it again. But, yeah, man, this show is good. If you haven't seen it, I'm telling you, go and watch it. I know I was all over the place, but that's how it is with this show. It's hard to fucking talk about just one singular thing. You want to talk about anything and everything because this show is just so fucking good. Shout out to your boy Gindy. He's the GOAT. Always have been, always will be. This show will always be the GOAT. Don't ever forget this show. Always remember the show. Make sure you spread the word about this show. Make sure you keep the show alive, which I think it will stay alive on its own because it's just too fucking good. But still, we should never let this show just wither away. We should always make sure that every once in a while we come back and talk about it and make sure and let Disney know that, yeah, you say it's no longer canon, but we say that shit's canon. It's always going to be canon. Fuck what you talking about, Disney.